Hi, this is the Voice News Network. Today we have with us the Progressive Conservative MPP Parm Gill, Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. He is a member of the Standing Committee on Justice Policy and member of the Standing Committee on Government Agencies. He represents the constituency of Milton in the Ontario Parliament. And we will talk about the government's fall economic review, and which was just released last week.
Absolutely.
Welcome to VNN, Mr. Gill.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and really talk to your viewers and talk about some of the benefits that we've introduced in the fall economic statement by our Finance Minister, Minister Philip, last week. And thank you. It's great to be here.
To start off, Mr. Gill, we talk among our friends here and colleagues saying that the Doug Ford government is, there's a conspiracy to see that the NDP comes into power the next time. Because everything that you do, it upsets people. The unions are very angry. Trudeau beats upon Doug Ford. I mean, what is it?
That's the reality of politics, unfortunately. But I think the last thing Ontarians want is an NDP government. We had that one time. Ontarians tried only one time. We had a provincial government led by the NDP, and we're still paying the price from Ray days. Absolutely, and I don't think Ontarians would elect an NDP ever again. But listen, we were given a strong mandate June 2018 to clean up our finances, the debt left by the previous Liberal government, the mess. So that the debt that we inherited from the previous Liberal government,
massive.
$350 billion, about $15 billion worth of deficit. So what does all of that mean? It means over $13 billion in interest payments alone each and every year. That works out to over $1 billion in interest payments alone per month. I mean, these are crazy, crazy numbers. Nothing like any other province. So we're working on a system. We've introduced policies that will help eliminate the debt and the deficit. We've brought the deficit down from $15 billion to just over $9 billion now in a year and a half. But we have a lot of confidence, of course, in the Minister of Finance, Minister Philip, who introduced the fall economic statement and the vision that we have as a government for all Ontarians, investment in healthcare, investment in education. We're investing about $65 billion in healthcare alone. We increased the funding in healthcare by about $1.9 billion. In education, we're investing $30 billion a year. We've increased the funding in education by $1.3 billion. These are all important investments. And, at the end of the day, Ontarians have put their trust in us, and we've got to make sure that we live up to it.
You were talking about investment in health, but you voted against the new Brampton Hospital.
So, it is very, very unfortunate. And I mentioned the word politics. I understand opposition parties have a reason, and that part of their job is to play politics, but it's really unfortunate when you're playing politics with lives of other Ontarians. So NDP brought forward this motion literally a day before the fall economic statement was due to be introduced by Minister Phillips. And these decisions are not made very lightly. And what the motion was calling was basically for the government to put a new hospital and allocate funding.
And they gave us 1 day.
It gave us 1 day to do that. That isn't how governments work. We understand there are challenges not just in Brampton when it comes to long waits, when it comes to more investments in healthcare.
All across Ontario?
Absolutely. There's many, many parts of Ontario. This is another serious issue that our government has been working on. Like I said, we're making historic investments. Increase the funding by $1.9 billion, but there's a lot more that we need to do. We committed to, adding 30,000 long-term care beds across the province of Ontario, and 15,000 of those in the first 5 years. And we have already added almost 8,000 new long-term care beds, but we're going to hit our targets. We're going to make sure that we live up to the expectations, make sure that we deliver on the promises that we made.
What about this merger of different health agencies into one unit called Ontario Health? Does that help in many ways?
100%, absolutely. So, That's another area. Minister Elliott is responsible for, obviously, Ministry of Health. And we had appointed a panel to experts, basically, to look at the system, make some recommendations. Our focus, our government's focus is to make investments in the frontline services, nurses, doctors, and other frontline services, whereas the Liberals invested billions of dollars in the bureaucracy side. So you got over-bloated bureaucracy in the
Very
healthcare
top
system.
heavy, very top heavy management, yeah.
And at the end of the day, our wait times continue to get longer and longer. People have to wait months, in some cases even years, to get an appointment
surgery, yeah.
or to get a surgery. And these are all very, very serious concerns that we're looking to address. And I can tell you that I don't think we could have found a better, more capable and competent minister than Minister Elliott, who is leading this portfolio with health.
Now, with this, in this fall economic statement, there has been a lot of backtracking, isn't it? I mean, like many cuts have been reversed.
Honestly, no. So I don't even use the word cuts, because it's not cuts. Finding an efficiency is not a cut.
Okay.
And the other thing is spreading misinformation, mostly coming from the opposition or other special interest groups, is unfortunate. The fact of the matter is, as I pointed out earlier, you look at healthcare, which is big, right, across Ontario. We're putting more money, historic high number. It's almost $65 billion a year we're putting in healthcare. Education, we're putting more money in education. Almost $30 billion a year is on education, and we've increased that by $1.3 billion. So, the individuals or the organizations that are spreading this information with cuts, it's a complete nonsense. Right? And there was a huge scare over the summer. Laying off teachers, blah blah blah. The class size is going to be 45 students. No. Has anybody seen a class size of 45 or even 30? Like, I always encourage people that talk to me, that bring this topic up, and say, just give me an example, give me one example, and I'm happy to look at it, and I'm happy to address it with the minister responsible.
What about now transit? The statement talks about transit, isn't it?
Of course. So when it comes to transit, listen, we're making a historic investments, almost in the tune of $30 billion in the new Ontario line, increasing the service for GO Transit right across this province. Full-time, all-day GO to Niagara Falls, even the GO line that goes to Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo, through Georgetown, even Stouffville out east. So every single line on GO Train, we've increased the service. And we understand, it doesn't mean that we've done our part, doesn't mean it's enough. There's always room for improvement, and we're always making investments, and at the same time working with our other partners, be municipal, be regional, be federal.
Yeah, that is where I think the importance, because the provincial transit is doing fine, but it's a municipal transit, that's where people directly get involved with. How do we improve 100%.
That? So we all have a role to play, whether you're provincial, federal, municipal, regional. And I can tell you, when I used to be a member of Parliament here in Brampton, one of the things we did at the time, the federal Conservative government, was sort of the leading player bringing in Zoom Transit into the city of Brampton.
That was excellent service.
100%. So that's a small example how we can work together. I know the federal Liberals made commitments during the election and to do with public transit, and I'm hoping that they will also live up to their end of the bargain and fulfill their commitments, so we can continue to deliver transit and results for all Ontarians.
Now, what about this insurance bill that you had introduced in Parliament as a private member's bill?
100%.
What's happened? Is it dead?
It is absolutely not dead, and it's far from being dead. Insurance is a serious issue, not just here in and around the GTA, but a lot of other parts of the province as well. So I introduced this piece of legislation, insurance bill, to eliminate the discrimination when it comes to postal code, when it comes to telephone area codes. So my bill has passed 2 readings. It already passed first and second. It is currently before the Finance Committee, which looks at pieces of legislation like my bill, and then it gets reported back to the House, at which time we will have a final debate on it, a 3rd reading debate, and then all the members will vote on it. And I am quite hopeful that it will pass the 3rd reading, then go on to become law.
What about your file, the housing and municipal affairs, municipality housing, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So I am the parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Minister Steve Clark, and it has obviously been an honor. It's an important file that affects a lot of families in and around Ontario.
That's only confined to the GTA?
No.
Elsewhere
Believe
in
it or not,
Ontario?
when we talk about housing, those who live in the GTA thinks it's only an issue in the GTA, but it's actually a big issue right across this province, even in part of the northern communities. Had an opportunity to meet with them. We've introduced initiatives as a provincial government to reduce red tape, to reduce the burden, to streamline the process. You know, can you believe that in the GTA, it can take up to 10 years to build a mid-rise apartment building, right? That's how long the process basically takes. So what we've done is we've introduced a lot of different initiatives to introduce the red tape and streamline the process, so which will encourage developers, which would encourage municipalities. At the end of the day, we have a responsibility to make sure we bring forward policies that help Ontarians, especially young kids, that are just starting their life off. Or, you know, if you've got new immigrants that are immigrating to this country and they're looking to find a house or buy a house or rent a house for their families, I think it's one of the basic needs that all of us have. And it is a serious challenge. Our government recognizes that right across this province, and we're working to address this.
Why did the federal Conservatives lose in Milton? Well, Lisa Raitt lost the election. What is that? Is there a particular reason?
First of all, I want to thank Lisa Raitt. Of course, she was an MP. She served Milton for 11 years. She also served in the federal cabinet as part of the Conservative government, has made a tremendous contribution, and is a strong advocate, not just for Milton, I think for most Canadians. But at the end of the day, listen, during an election, one of the things that happens is people have an opportunity to elect their representative, so they chose a new representative. And in my capacity as an MPP, I'm looking forward to working with our new MP to continue to deliver results for Miltonians. You know, we'll see whatever, it's a minority government, we'll see what the next election brings, or how quickly that happens.
Anything else you would like to tell our viewers?
No,
specifically about your portfolio?
First of all, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come on and share some of these important policies with all of your viewers. I just want to take this opportunity, as I always do, to thank our community for the opportunity that they've allowed me to represent, of course, in Ottawa as a member of Parliament before, and now I am a part of the Ontario PC government at Queen's Park in the provincial legislature. It is truly an honor and a pleasure for me to be able to do this, and I will continue to do this to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Mr. Gill. That was a very interesting discussion on what the new economic 100%. Statement and what the Ford government is doing in Ontario.
Thank you.
A lot of good work.
Thank you, and I look forward to doing this again with you in the very near future and on a regular basis.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much. Thank you.